thing that I heard, and I really wanted to get y'all thoughts on what was said by the women and if that's even feasible, if it makes sense to y'all.
Well, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And the reason why I say it makes sense because I think you have to expect the women to speak from their trauma or a jaded mindset on
Fair use. Fair use.
what they experience. Because if you see the women who said had wait till you're older, they had a bad experience when they were young. So I think that's expected. I mean, you would want them to be able to maintain some type of intelligence to instill in their daughters that marrying, and at a young or becoming a mother young is still the most optimal time to do it. But because they're jaded, they have to lead with that. And from a women, I think this is, I don't want to say it's their nature, but I think at their behavior, at the rate of their behavior over the past decade, this is just what you got to expect out of women. They're gonna project off of their past and their mistakes. If they go into a marriage young and it fails, don't marry young because then you'll fail because I failed.
Not only that, fellas, but if they can argue with men and get men to concede to marriage to women who older should be more proper, regardless of biology and what science tell us and our natural biologies are. If they could get not like it enough to get men to change it and move it up, they'll be able to compete longer. So when they wasted their youth, all right, and then jumped in their 30s and see men consider them old, they don't want to have to still be competing with some 23, 24-year-old, and she in her 30s. They need to make something wrong with men wanting women in their 20s. All right, but it always been like this. Always. Listen, by the time a man is able to properly care for a family, he normally in his mid to late 30s. All right. When a woman is ready to have a child and is at her height of her fertility, she is in her 20s, early 20s. All right. Women got to make something wrong with that because they need to be able to compete for that man. They don't want to have to compete with a 23-year-old for a 39-year-old. When you check history, there's something wrong with that just came up recently. I mean, women always going to have a problem with that because in her 30s, she can't compete with a 23-year-old woman. And so she'd rather not have to do it. And if the way to have to do it is to shame you into not wanting to do it, then she'd do that. All right. And then she going to sway all the young girls off against you. She going to tell them all kind of stuff about you and how it ain't going to work. And yeah, stuff like that, because she need to run her interference to give herself a chance. And that's only because that's what she done with her life.
Of successful marriages. So another thing about women telling their daughters or preparing their daughters for marriage, nobody said, well, I don't know if anybody said, but I can't remember. So no offense if somebody did state it. Nobody's talked about how to market yourself. Looking at the market, what does the market say it wants a wife to be? And oftentimes I hear women do that because they want men to change what the standards they want for a woman to be a wife, and they just want to embrace them. They want them to, the women want to fix your standards. Like, hey, look, your standards should be this of me. No, my standards is coming from me. So I think you got to focus on what does the man desire. Highly probable too. Like, what does most men want in a woman he would marry? And that should be your foundation. But you still should be able to maneuver, because it becomes subjective to one person. So if a man meets you, you got a little wiggle room to move left or right, but the standard should be what the market wants. And you got to study the market. Like, Obviously, men want a cooperative woman. You hate to say it, submissive woman. But when you start talking about throwing that off the table, then you just said fuck what the market want. So we can't even go down the rabbit hole of the other list of things that you should bring to the table. You want a woman that don't have a trashy digital footprint, a woman who has a healthy BMI. I know you don't want to talk about that shit, but these are things that men value. You throw thirst traps all over Instagram. You know what I'm saying? You're giving fertility cues. You know,
fellas, that's because they don't want to give you what you value. They want to be able to tell you what you should value. All right. They want you to value what they think you should value instead of what you value, and it got them in the street. As you can see, the faces get turned up whenever he start talking about what men want, because women know they can't get what they want unless they give us what we want. All right, because we ain't got to come and do it, and now have no way of making us do it. And them faces turned up is a start of the gaslight tactic. Whenever you about to man up, all right, because she ain't the woman. You can see the docile ladies, the women live all in their faces. And whenever the man start talking, all right, and telling them what men expect, their faces don't turn up. Look at the ones who faces turn up and get all nasty because he ain't saying nothing but what most men gonna say. All right, and no, you don't had to hate to say it. Yeah, we want submissive women. If you got a problem with being submissive, how do we even get to the rest of it? All right, because that's what I want. Fellas, you got a bunch of ladies who think they should be able to give you what they feel like giving you for everything you got. If you sit up here and listen, they want to convince you that they equal, and it shouldn't matter that you bring more. And if we equal and it don't matter that we bring more, then why can't you bring more? No, we ain't asking you to bring more. We just asking you to bring what we want, and y'all can't do it. That's why all y'all in the street. All right, y'all don't realize that y'all don't have no way of making us do this. None. We not going to value what you think we should value instead of what we value. You're not going to argue us in the desire in that. You ain't going to gaslight us in the desire in that. You ain't going to shame us in the desire in that. We're going to leave you in the street. We'll come get you when we need you. All right, listen, because let me explain something to you, ladies. All right, when a man is driven and purposeful, you're going to be driven and purposeful about him. That's the only, because listen, he going to have to die for you. In exchange for him dying for you, you're going to live for me. It's not just me die for you and that's it. No. The rest of it, you live for me. That always been the deal. All right, you want my protection and my provision, you get under my leadership. That always been the deal. And you ladies not going to come along and change that. You're not going to come along and tell us your loyalty. You don't want to give us that much of it. All right, you should be able to give us as much of it as you feel like giving us. And that's too much. And y'all going to stay in the street. All right, your unwavering loyalty and allegiance supposed to be to me. You supposed to live for me. I supposed to die for you. That's supposed to be the deal. Not just I die for you and that's it. No, you kick rocks at the bus stop with that. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. That got y'all in the street. All right, y'all thinking we should give y'all everything we got for whatever y'all feel like giving us. Got y'all in the street. It ain't going to change. It ain't going to change.
Men want that. Men in the market want that in mass. So if you shrink yourself down to your own perspective of what you think a man wants, then we know why you're alone, or we know why you're failing and going to continue to fail. So I think you got to open up your mind to be able to embrace and accept, what do the men, how can I increase the likelihood or the probability of being selected? And some of the shit that you think you're supposed to be might have to be recalibrated. And I'll yield to on that one.
Marcus, did you wanted to go or? Yeah.
No, Darwin actually was. He was like, the market is the market. I think we do fall victim to which is why sometimes I be laughing with some of the stuff both say, because the equalization of how men and women view each other is just not the same thing. I know y'all wish it was, and I can say it week after week, and people might want to dispute it, but it's just the truth. Our body works differently, we think differently, we have different needs. And if you try and universally apply it for men want the same thing as women, you're going to consistently fail. Even if a man attempts to be that way, eventually your nature is going to kind of poke out, and so is his. And it's going to create a rift, which causes a fight in the ideal power dynamic within a relationship. My age group was 18 to 23 for women and 25 to 30 for men as far as time to get married. And the reason I went up to 23 is because, taking into account some people weren't raised with a family and don't have an adequate source of being able to vet a man. So within that 18 to 23, maybe you can get in a religious organization. You can find a group that can assist you in what's necessary to look for and some of the things you may have missed out on. You may have to pay for some type of coaching with an older woman who specializes in that, or become best friends with somebody you would like to emulate. But yeah, I stand firm in the experience that a man needs is not the same experience a young woman needs. The experience will be helpful for the man and it'll be detrimental for the woman. Input, output. We are biologically wired to be different. Y'all are biologically wired to be different. And it's no way to get around that. It really isn't. We can try and say that gender and biology is socially engineered, but we all revert back to that. We all revert back to
plain and simple. All right. We all resort back to the natural order of things. Fellas, that's why I always tell you, listen, she gonna move that dude in her house because he handsome. All right. But the woman, but he only moving in here with her because she got these 4 kids and she got the free housing. All right. He think he gonna get her in here and get her to be loyal to him. All right. Because he gonna get in here and do a bunch of other stuff. He gonna be here for her. He gonna watch her kids sometimes. And you know what I'm saying? He gonna do what men do, but he gonna still be in here. All right. Like he trying to show her something that her baby daddies ain't showing her. In exchange, he gonna get to live here and get some loyalty from her. No, the man gonna eventually come out of him and the woman gonna eventually come out of her. All right, because the woman gonna eventually come out of her. She gonna start wanting him to help. All right, that's when the problem gonna start. When she start wanting him to help, because the man gonna come out of him when he want loyalty for what he think he been doing around here, and she think he ain't been doing nothing, and he think what he should been doing should get appreciated, whether it's minimal or not. It's something to him. And he think he deserved loyalty, and she thinks she deserves some help. He thinks she deserved what she been getting, and she thinks she ain't been getting enough, because the natural biology always gonna rear its head. We would like to change it with what human beings like, but we can't. We can't change it with what human beings like. All right, you ain't gonna make a man want what a woman wants. You ain't gonna make a woman want what a man wants. Why do you think my job make me more attractive to a woman than your job will ever make you to me? Because I'm not expected to be able to use your job. You expected to be able to use mine to benefit you. I can't use your job to benefit me, but I'm not expected to be able to use your job to benefit me. I went and got the job so I could benefit you with it. You went to got the job so you could benefit you with it. You didn't get the job so you could benefit me with it. So why would I value it knowing it's not expected to benefit me? But you keep trying to tell me I need to value something that I know ain't beneficial to me. You're still going to want me to pay for everything. Listen, you want me to pay for everything, but you think it should be valued the same because that will get you what you want. And men ain't, y'all think men crazy. All right, listen, we understand what y'all want, and we ain't trying to talk y'all out of it. We telling y'all how y'all need to go about getting it, and y'all still keep trying to tell us how that's too much, and y'all only want to give us what y'all feel like, and y'all still want to come up and be with it. No, y'all gonna stay in the street.
See, if you don't, because then the sheep are gonna come out. You remember the sheep?
Bo, you said you had a question.
Yeah. So my question is like I understand that men are socialized to think differently than women. But my question is, why is it that it only matters what men want? Because when women were saying what we wanted, don't none of that matter. Listen to what the man wants so you can get picked. Why is it that we're not listening to each other to get a middle ground? Because women have needs. Men have their view of what they need. Both of us have our views of what we need. Why is it that women have to listen to the men? What women say don't mean nothing. Because
Let me tell you why, Bohemian, because you want my protection and my provision. That's why. You need my protection and my provision. All right? I'm supposed to die for you. You're supposed to live for me, and that's the deal. You ain't going to change it. Your lady's not going to come along and change it. All right? Simple as that. You're not going to give me how much of your loyalty you feel like giving me. All right? All right? And gaslight me into doing without the rest of it. No, 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 no. You're not going to give me what you think I should value. You're going to give me what I value, or we ain't going to be. All right? And you see you in the street because you're not going to get nobody to go for this. All right? Because what I'm expected to bring to the table is a hell of a lot more than you expected to bring to the table. And no, we don't need to consider what you want as much as you need to consider what I want, because I'm not coming to you for your protection and your provision. All right? All right, you can't give you're not expected to offer me that. All right, you're not expected to offer me that. You just expected to offer me your loyalty, and you can't even do that. You arguing with me to take as much of it as you feel like giving me, and we keep telling you, hell no.
because this is what we want. This is how you get selected. Why is that?
I think so. When men answer that question, and it may seem like it's being dismissive, it's not being dismissive. It's patterns of best practice, right? So a woman can say, "Hey, I want X, Y, Z in a man," and then they friend zone those men. And then there's a different group of men who don't embody the traits that they're speaking of, and those men get the women. Like, speaking to somebody that was on the opposite side of the friend zone, I see the characteristics y'all talking about in the men that got friend zoned all the time. So it would be disingenuous for us to co-sign that, knowing, and I'm not to say that there's no truth in it, but if that's the primary personality traits that say women would say, and then select for a different group of things, a man would say you can't trust the sheep on how to hunt them, you know, or the prey on how to be hunted. You have to talk to another hunter. If that makes sense.
Bohemian, are you being pursued by the man you desire?
Mm-hmm.
Why you ain't married?
Because the man didn't.
Bohemian, I expected you to cap. If you thought we expected you to do anything other than cap, all right, I can't wait to hear your reason. I can't wait.
The man didn't have what I just said I needed.
Now, can't you see how that is a contradiction?
How?
When I say the man you desire, let's just assume that he have.
I'm talking about. This is why I'm not.
I already knew she wasn't gonna make no sense. All right, because anytime you asking for some accountability and her to woman up, she ain't gonna make no sense. She gonna start tap dancing. She realized she sound like an idiot, and she can't get out of her own way. She can't get out of her own way. She got a mash in it. Now watch how she try to stretch it and spin it and twist it, because she do this every show.
but the man currently I
No,
desire
he's
him.
asking you why you're not married to the man that's pursuing you currently. But I isn't
I
that
don't
like
even know
a
that man like that.
yeah, you just started dating him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is anybody that is struggling to get in a relationship?
Well, if you just start dating him, how you know he the man you desire? And why did you have to come and bail her out and give her an excuse? See, that's what they think they do. And they think we don't pay attention. It ain't gonna help you. Still gonna be in the street.
On this panel? That's a hard admit. That's gonna take some accountability. So I probably
No,
shouldn't even
I
ask
work
that question.
overnight. Nope, I don't, I'm not. I'm good.
I think this is where we have to account for pretty privilege though, because I'm
No,
not gonna yeah.
that's
Because
long.
like
That's
M.
short
White
term.
said, right? M. White said, he looks at so many men that are those things, right? But I'm not gonna lie. It's only a small selection of really good looking men that aren't prioritizing what they want over what you say you want, Bo. Because guess what? When he's a really good looking man, just like when she's a really good looking woman, he knows he's so damn good looking, he probably ain't got to concede to you, just like she knows that. Pretty privilege is a thing.
Notice how she just had to make them equal. No, they not equal. They not equal at all. All right, they're not equal at all, baby girl. It's not the same for a man as it is for a woman. You see how pretty you and trust me, you can tell being as though she said that she a pretty girl, but she thinks she a lot prettier than she is. She do. You can tell being as though she said that she believes she prettier than she is. And she a pretty girl. We ain't taking that from you, baby girl. We think you're a pretty girl. All right, but anyway, look, so she trying to convince you that a pretty girl don't gotta care, just like a pretty dude don't gotta care. No, because as a dude, pretty ain't gonna get it for his ass. All right, pretty ain't gonna get it for his ass. Pretty only gonna get it for him if he can get a busted up chick. All right, or maybe a chick like you who put all that value in the way he look. But when he get a really smoking hot chick, she ain't gonna put all that value in the way he look. Nah, she not. And he already know that. Because when he really that hot looking, he already had them women before. All right, you get the losers, the ones that's hot like that, and then you gotta take care of them. And then that's why he with you. Because he know when he stepped to the really hot ones, that shit ain't enough. She working with what God gave her, and she ain't gonna be letting him work with what God gave him. All right, listen, I was talking, case in point, I was on the phone talking to this chick. I was in jail, all right, and I was talking to this girl. I was on the phone, and she was, me and her was cool, all right, like we was like that. On and off more than we on. We just holler at each other sometime. And it was just a particular day I just called her from jail and we was talking. You know what I'm saying? And she a fine woman. She fine. All right. And she got a daughter. Right. So she was telling me a story and she was like, Tommy, I left my wallet in the car earlier today. And I ran out to the car to get my wallet. And I grabbed my wallet. As soon as I shut the door, I looked up and here come this dude pulling up on me on a bike. Right? So I'm thinking, I don't know what the hell he get ready to try to do. I got my wallet in my hand and he done pulled up on me in the bike. So then I realized he trying to holler at me. And she was like, I just told him I was married and my husband was in the house and I'm walking up the steps and this dude screamed behind me, you ain't got no husband. I know you ain't got no husband. She was like, but I kept on walking and went on in the house. She said later on, I was outside and I had my daughter. I was watching my daughter ride a bike up and down the street. She was like, so the girl next door came out the house and started talking. She was like, but I'm watching my daughter walking up and down the street. And she was like, what that fine MF say to you earlier? And she was like, Tommy, I had forgot all about this. And I ain't remember that dude, Tom. And So when she telling me this, I'm thinking she must, I don't, is she talking to me? What's she talking about? So she was like, I'm halfway paying us a mind, but I'm watching my daughter on the bike. But I realized she keep talking about it. She talking about me with that dude. So I'm asking her what dude she talking about. And then she start telling me the dude from earlier that she seen him trying to talk to me. And she said, oh, I told him I was married. And she said, she was like, you told him you was married, girl. You ain't married. That fine. And she was like, I looked at her and I said, Tommy, I just told her a dude who a grown man riding a 10-speed not fine. I don't know no fine men who ride a 10-speed. She was and she said, Tommy, the girl just kept going on. And then I had enough of her mouth. So I'm about to walk in the house and she say, oh, he don't drive a BMW like your baby daddy. And she said, Tommy, I just said, no, he don't. And she said, in that moment, Tommy, it explained to me why she got 4 kids and no man stopped by and check on them. And she know my baby daddy got BMW because he always pull up and pick up his daughter. Tommy, she got all these kids by a bunch of dudes like him on that 10-speed. All right, a bunch of cute dudes that ride 10 speeds and can't take and ain't capable of taking care of nothing. And when they had a baby with her, all right, they go ahead on about their business and she stuck with 4 kids. And I understand that. Listen, some women, right? Listen, when all their life, they just keep getting lied to no matter what they got going on. They start thinking that everybody that see them need to lie to them too. Mama lied to them. Told, you ain't fat. You slim. You don't need to get in shape. You listen, even though they go out in the world and the world keep telling them who they are, they still get these pep talks that it don't matter. All right, they still get these pep talks that it don't matter. And when the world show them that it matter, they get like Bohemian. They get shell-shocked. They get like this lady right here. They get upset. They get upset that it ain't the same for men. So they got to talk their way into it being the same for men. See, a man got to earn his value. He got to earn his privilege. Oh, your privilege only get here because it's given to you. See, he can't just be working with what God gave him. He can only just be working with what God gave him when he deal with a woman like you until your natural biology take its course and you start wanting him to help.
Quite often, society has built their head up where they feel like I don't really have to be all of these things that you say I have to be because I make up for it in looks. Let's be real. Let's be 100%. Y'all are going to tell me there's never been a time where you might have been in a relationship or somebody was pursuing.
You very rarely see a super fine man with a super fine woman. Only on TV. Mostly in the movies. Okay? Okay, because when you ask super fine women what they want, that ain't what never on the top of her list. Ever. Only when you're talking to a woman like you and Bohemian. And like, listen, that's when that's so important. All right, y'all need them dudes who wouldn't pay y'all no mind in high school, who was talking to the other chicks. And now you need to prove you could get them. All right, when the other chicks graduated from him, he a loser. So that's how you got him. That's how you got him. They don't go around him. And the kind of women he can't get because they don't take losers. So he got to go with the ones that take losers. Because when a man earns his value, you can trust and believe you're going to be more than cute. You're going to be more than cute because when he on a level, all of y'all cute. All of y'all fine. Trust me. Y'all need that. Y'all need him to be on the level. All right, he don't need y'all to be on the level. Most of the time, he just want a cute, fine woman he can get along with. All right, y'all can't be that. All right, you think we should accept you in that size. All right, you should think we should accept you with that attitude. And we ain't gonna accept y'all with neither one of them. And y'all ain't got no way of making us.
Yeah, like if you got a list of 10 things, like personality-wise, I'm 7 of them. I'm not really worried about those other 3. Face card don't decline. I look like this. You're still gonna take that 7.